Good morning, children. So, we'll continue the chapter. In the previous class, we had studied about what are mixtures and what are solution. In mixtures, we had studied about heterogeneous mixture and homogeneous mixture. And in solutions, we had learned about what are the properties of solution. Now, today we will study about the concentration of the solution. Concentration of the solution is nothing but solution is made up of solute and solvent. So in the solvents like water, if you have this, I have added salt to it. So this is a concentrate, it's a solution of salt and water. Now suppose if you go on adding a little bit more of salt to this solution, what happened? You are increasing the percentage of solute in the solvent. That means you go on adding the salt to it and it gets converted into the concentrated solution. So we will be studying about what are concentrated solution and how to calculate the percentage of concentration of salt in a solution. So if you are adding the salt, one spoon of salt, it forms a very dilute solution. But if you add little bit more of salt, you go on adding salt to the water becomes more and more salty. So we call it as a concentrated solution. Now after the concentrated solution, if you get it, you still go on adding the salt and go on stirring it. And at a particular temperature, at this particular temperature, if you go on adding salt, you will reach a point when no more of salt can be added. It will not dissolve in water. That kind of solution is known as saturated solution. Whereas dilute solution and concentrated solutions are unsaturated solution. That means you can add more solute into it, solute particles into the solvent. So when you go on adding the salt, you will get a saturated solution when even after stirring it, you will not be able to dissolve more solute. But what happens if you increase the temperature? If you increase the temperature, what happens? You can add more solute into it. The solubility of the salt will increase with increasing temperature. Next, you can also see I have made a solution over here to understand the different concentration of solution. So I have taken water and dissolved Ujala into it. So you can understand the three solutions. The first one where less amount of color is there, so it's a dilute solution. The middle one, you are adding little bit more of Ujala or the color to it, so it becomes a concentrated solution. And the third one, if you add more and more, so it becomes a saturated solution. So this is how colors are made. So more and more colors are added and then it is dried. So all the paint and all which you get it, camelin and all that, they make the paints using this. So dilute solution, concentrated solution compared to this, and then you have the saturated solution. And at the same time, you are going to study about how to calculate the concentration of the solute by mass volume percentage calculation, or mass by volume, mass by mass, or volume by volume percentage. You are going to calculate it and you have to focus on that numericals when we are discussing in the slide. Another concept which we are going to study is, I told you the last time, we had made a heterogeneous mixture. I dissolved sand or mud into the water and you can see there is a heterogeneous mixture. You can see the particles which have been collected below. But in the case of salt, you cannot see the particles. Here the particles are visible. So here this is an heterogeneous mixture, or we call it as suspension. In suspension, the solid particles, they remain suspended in the solvent and you can see the particles over here. And then these particles, it can be separated by using filtration method. And for example, this is a filter paper. You can make a filter paper like this. You have to fold it once, make it into a half, again fold it once more, and you will get like this kind of a shape. Then you have to count 1, 2 and 3. Then you will get like a cone. It comes in the form of a cone. So this is used for filtering. So this you will be seeing in the lab. This is kept in the funnel. You can use that. You can use a newspaper or the cloth in this shape and keep it in a funnel. And when you pour the muddy water into it, you can see the mud will be collected in the filter paper and clear water will be collected below in the beaker. So that is the method of filtration. So this is the muddy water which I told you. The particles in a muddy water, that it is known as suspension. The particles are very big. And if you keep this muddy water for some time, you will get a nice clear solution on top. and you will get the particles which are dissolved in the muddy water. It will settle down below. So it forms two different layers. So it is known as heterogeneous mixture. So this kind of mixtures are known as suspension. Suspensions are heterogeneous mixture, and then this is unstable. It will not remain like, if you keep it undisturbed for quite time, you can see two different layers. Okay, so it is unstable. So this is an heterogeneous mixture of muddy water, and you can see when you focus light through this muddy water, the particles inside the heterogeneous mixture will scatter the beam of light. This scattering of beam of light is known as Tyndall effect. It is not visible in, but it is Tyndall effect is not shown by the solution. Another one you can see is, another one which I told you, that is before we had discussed about the salt solution. This is stable, and then when you pass the light through it, it will not scatter the light. You cannot see the path of the light. So the solution will not allow, it will not scatter the beam of light through it, but the suspension will allow the beam of light to pass through it. The third kind of mixtures which we are going to learn is nothing but colloidal solution. This I have taken an example, that is water, I have mixed milk in it. So here you can see the particles are there. You can see some particles in it, but it is a stable solution because the particles will not settle down after some time. So this kind of solutions are known as colloidal solutions. And colloidal solutions and all, here also when you pass light through it, it scatters the, you can see the path of the light. Okay, so this is also the the effect of Tyndall effect is shown by colloidal solution. So now I want you to look into the slide and understand the concept very well. So let's continue the chapter, is matter around us pure, part 2. In this part you are going to study about concentration of a solution, some problems based on concentration of solutions, suspension, properties of suspension, colloidal solution, and properties of colloidal solution. Now, what do you mean by concentration of a solution? The relative proportion of the solute and the solvent in a solution can be varied. Like when you put salt into the water, the proportion of salt which is there in water, which is a solvent, it can be varied. It can be little amount or more amount. Depending upon the amount of solute present in the solution, a solution can be called dilute, concentrated, or saturated solution. Now look at the figure. So this is water, which is solvent, and copper sulfate is a solute. So 4 test tubes are there marked as A, B, C, D. So the amount of copper sulfate or the solute which is present in 4 different test tubes is different. The first one, it is very little amount. Second one, it's little bit more than that. In third, it is more than the second. And the fourth, it has high concentration of copper sulfate salt in it. So when we see the final result, we'll get it like that. So we can see the color difference. So we can see the first and second as on the third as the dilute solution, this as the concentrated solution, and the last one as the saturated solution. So that means the solution which has a high concentration of solute in it is known as, it's a concentrated solution, and saturated solution is in which no more solute can be dissolved further. That results in the formation of saturated solution. So here, at any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much as solute as it is capable of dissolving is called a saturated solution. So at room temperature, how much of salt is dissolved in the water? Maximum, and no more salt can be dissolved in it. It results in the formation of a saturated solution. Now what about solubility of a salt? The solubility of a salt is nothing but the amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. So at that temperature, how much of salt can be dissolved is known as a solubility of that particular salt. Now, what do you mean by unsaturated solution? Unsaturated solution, if the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, is called an unsaturated solution. So in this 4 glasses, The first, second and the third are the unsaturated solution, while the last one is the saturated solution where no more solute can be dissolved at that particular temperature. So different substances in a solvent have different solubilities. Like copper sulfate will have different solubility, potassium permanganate will have different solubility in water, or copper sulfate has different solubilities at the same temperature. Now, concentration of the solute is nothing but the amount or mass or volume. The solute can be in the solid state or a liquid state. If it is solid, we take the mass, and if it is liquid, we'll take the volume of the solute. So it is amount of the solute present in a amount of a solution. That is meant by concentration of a solution. So it can be mass or the volume of the solution what we are going to take. Now, look at the formulas which we are going to use for calculating the concentration of the solution. There are three different formulas. So first one, it is known as mass by mass. We are going to take the mass of the solute and mass of the solution. Mass by mass, percentage of a solution. And how it can be calculated is by taking the mass of the solute divided by the mass of the solution and multiply that by the 100. You will get the percentage of the solute in that solution. Second formula is mass by volume. We are taking mass of the solute and volume of the solution, percentage of a solution. So mass of the solute divided by mass of the solution and then multiplied by 100. You are going to calculate, that is known as mass by volume percentage of solution. Another formula for calculating the concentration of a solution. The third method is volume by volume percentage of a solution. Here we are going to take the volume of the solute, how much is there, and you are going to divide it by the volume of the solution which is given, and then finally multiplying that by 100. So we are going to use these three formulas for calculating the concentration of a solution. Now look at the problems very carefully and write in your notebook. So let's see the first example. Now suppose a solution contains 50 grams of copper sulfate in it, so dissolved in 200 grams of water. You have to calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. So mass by mass percentage of the solution, which formula we are going to use? We'll be using the first one. So you have to calculate, take the mass of the solute which is given, calculate the mass of the solution, divide it, and then multiply that by 100. So you are going to get the concentration of the solution. It's very, very simple. Now look at the step. So from the question, it is given mass of the solute, that is copper sulfate, is 50 grams. Mass of the solvent, that is water, which is given in the question, that is how much? 200 grams. Okay, 200 grams. Now, what is the mass of the solution? So the total mass of the solution is mass of the solute plus mass of the solution. That is 50 grams plus 200 grams is equal to 250 grams. Now, to calculate the mass percentage of the solution, you have to divide mass of the solute divided by mass of the solution and then multiply by 100. So mass of the solute is 50 divided by mass of the solution is 250, multiply by 100, and you are going to get the percentage of the solution is nothing but concentration solution is 20%. Right. So this is mass by mass calculation, mass by mass, you are taking it and you are going to calculate the percentage of a solution, that is concentration of the solution, by this method. Look at the second example. In this example, you just see the question. The solution contains 500 milliliter of ethanol dissolved in 1500 milliliter of water, or 1.5 liters of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of volume by volume percentage of the solution. Here both the terms are in volume, milliliter and milliliter. You have to calculate what is the concentration of the ethanol in water. Now, you are going to use which formula for this? Third one. Volume by volume percentage of solution, you are going to calculate by volume of the solute divide by volume of the solution and then multiply by 100. So here, what is the volume of the solute? That is ethanol, given 500 ml. Volume of the solvent, that is water, it is given 1500 ml of water. Therefore, what is the volume of the solution? Solution is nothing but volume of the solute plus volume of the solvent, which is 500 plus 1500 ml, which is equal to 2000 milliliter. Now, how to calculate the volume by volume percentage of the solution, or that is what is the concentration of ethanol solution in water? You can calculate by volume of the solute divided by volume of the solution. So, volume of the solute is how much? 500 ml. What is the volume of the solute? The solution, that is 2000 ml. So, you have to divide this, multiply it by 100, and you'll get the percentage, that is equal to 25%. So ethanol is nothing, the concentration of ethanol in water is nothing but 25%. It is mainly, why it is important, because this is the main solution now which we are using as sanitizer, as hand sanitizer. So like that the different mixtures are formed. Now let's come to the next topic of in the chapter, that is suspension. So first we had learned about solution, then we had learned how the concentration of solution is calculated. Now suspension. Suspension is like, for example, it is sand when you put it in water, or you put wheat flour in water, or rice powder in water. So that is the example of suspension. So it is a non-homogeneous mixture in which solids are dispersed in liquid are called suspension. It is a non-homogeneous mixture, means it is a heterogeneous mixture. So now what are the properties of suspension? Suspension is an heterogeneous mixture. In a suspension, solute particles do not settle down. It will not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. So you can just see some examples over here. So it will be just present in the solution. It will not settle down. Okay, so that is known as a suspension. Then, like oil in water, you can see it will be suspended, floating on top. So particles of a suspension are visible to naked eye. You can see it clearly. Then the particles of suspension, very important, when light is passed through the solution, it will not scatter the beam of light, but particles of a suspension will scatter the beam of light passing through it. And this effect is known as Tyndall effect. The scattering of a beam of light by the particles is known as Tyndall effect. Now, the next property of suspension, the solute particles settle down when the suspension is left undisturbed. So when you take muddy water and keep it for some time, so by evening or after 2 days, you can see the mud will settle down, and on top you'll be getting the clear water. That means the suspension is unstable. It is not stable, it is unstable. It can form two different layers. How can you separate it? Can you separate it? Yes, you can separate that by filtration. So the particles of a suspension can be separated from the mixture by filtration. So this is a process of filtration. So when you take the muddy water and then you pass it through a funnel which has a filter paper, and then pour the muddy water into it, clear water, you'll get it down, filtrate, and you will get the residue, that is the sand, in the filter paper. And here you can see the three different solution. So three different kinds of mixtures. One is solution, then suspension, and you are going to learn about the colloid. So light passes through the solution, but it will not scatter the light. But suspension, the path of the light is very, very clear. So it scatters the light. Next, third kind of mixtures which we are going to learn, that is colloid. Another one which you are going to learn is colloidal solution. So colloidal solution is also an heterogeneous mixture. So solution is a homogeneous mixture, suspension is an heterogeneous mixture, and colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture. The particles of a colloid are uniformly spread throughout the solution. So it will just be like a jelly, okay, or the face wash, or jam, or sauce. All are example of colloidal solution. Different creams which we are using it in our house, or a drop of milk in water, that's a colloidal solution. The size of particles of colloid is too small to be seen by the naked eye. We cannot see it. When a drop of milk, 2 or 3 drops, is put into the water, we cannot see the particles of the milk in it. But the solution is also not very clear. It is a heterogeneous mixture. The particles of the colloids are big enough to scatter the beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. So particles of the solute are big enough to scatter. So it scatters the path. What is it called? Tyndall effect. So this property of scattering of beam of light is called Tyndall effect. And then now let us compare the size of the particles of a solution, colloid and a suspension. In a solution, the particle size is very small. Okay, and it's not visible to naked eye. It can, when that is salt solution, the salt can, when you filter it, salt can pass through the filter paper and it won't be collected in the filter paper. So you cannot separate the particles of a colloid by filtration of a solution. Then in colloid also you can see the particle size is slightly bigger than that of solution. And in suspension like muddy water, the particle size is very big. So it can be collected by the filter paper. So it will not pass through the filter paper, the particles in a suspension. You can collect it by the filter paper. In a colloid, what happens? The particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. They are stable. They form one uniform layer. Like oil and water, you will not get two different parts when you look into a colloid. And they cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. And how you can separate it? They can be separated by a special technique of separation known as centrifugation. And this is the machine which is used for the separation of the colloidal mixture. Our blood, human blood is nothing but it's a colloid. It has red blood cell, white blood cell, blood platelets, plasma and all. So how to separate the red blood cells and all that? So this is the instrument used for that. When the blood is collected, you know that you give the blood for testing. So this is a machine. In that it will be kept and be rotated at high speed. So the particles will settle down at the bottom of the test tube and the clear plasma will be on top. So this is the particles of a colloidal solution are separated by a special technique known as centrifugation that you will be learning in the next part of the chapter. Now, what are the components of a colloidal solution called? The components of a colloidal solution are called dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Like we have solute and solvent, we call it in a solution. In a colloid, we use the term that is the particle which is the solute is known as the dispersed phase and the solvent is known as the dispersion medium. Hope you have understood this very well. So let's see the example of colloids, different types of colloids which are there around us, which we can see in our house, around us. So you can also look at it and classify it. First example, aerosol. Aerosol is a type of colloid. Please learn this table properly. Aerosol is a colloid, first example, where liquid is the dispersed phase, liquid is in the gas, dispersing medium is the gas. For example, cloud, fog, mist, early in the morning, winter season and all, you can get the fog, mist and all around. That is all example of, that is known as aerosol, in which liquid is dispersed in the gas. Second, one more example is there aerosol, where solid is dispersed in the gas. For example, smoke. When you burn paper or agarbatti, you can see the smoke inside the smoke is getting dispersed. The smoke is nothing but the solid particles. Automobile exhaust, okay, all the pollutants and all gas coming out of the vehicle, truck and all that. That is an example of another aerosol where solid is dispersed in the gas. So gas is the dispersing medium and aerosol, that is the smoke particles and all SO2 and all that comes under the solid which get dispersed in the gas. Third example, foam, that is shaving cream. In that also gas is dissolved in liquid. The example is shaving cream. So please learn all this properly. What is an example of foam and what is the dispersed phase and what is the dispersing medium. Gas is dissolved in the liquid. Emulsion. Emulsion, you must have heard about the paints, emulsion paint which is used for painting houses and all, or milk or face cream, Nivea, Pond's and all which is used, that is nothing but emulsion. In that liquid is the dispersed phase and it is dispersed in the dispersing medium which is also liquid. Example, milk and face cream. Another example is sol. Okay, sol is nothing but solid is dissolved in liquid. So for example, milk of magnesia and mud. Mud is the dispersed phase and it is dissolved in the liquid which is the dispersing medium. Milk of magnesia is used as an antacid. When you have digestion problem and all, you drink that medicine, light pink color. So that is an example of a sol. This is very important. Sol example is solid in liquid, example milk of magnesia. Foam, another example of foam is when gas is dissolved in solid. Foam, rubber, sponge, pumice stone, all are example of gas dissolved in solid. That is sponge and all which is used, the bag and all for packing. Gel, gel is jelly. That gel, what is it? Gel is an colloid where liquid is a dispersed phase and it is dispersed in the solid. So jam, sauce and all comes under this. Butter, cheese. So jelly, cheese, butter is nothing but it's a colloid where a liquid is present in the, it is dispersing medium is a solid. Then solid sol. We have seen one more sol here where solid is in liquid, but solid sol is nothing but when solid is dispersed in the solid. So for example, colored gemstones and milky glass. Glass and all is made using this. So when glass is molten and into that another color is mixed into it, that forms the solid sol. So all these are very important. First one, aerosol, then foam, emulsion, sol, foam, gel, solid sol. These are the different types of colloids which you can see, and these are the example. So this table is very important. So how the question will be asked is, this will be given and you have to identify what type of colloid it is and which is the dispersed phase and which is the dispersing medium in it. So please learn all this properly and please be ready for a question. Okay, quiz I'll be conducting it during the Zoom meeting. So hope all of you have understood this well. So what all we have learned in this chapter, we have learned about the concentration of the solution. We have learned what are the dilute solution, concentrated solution and saturated solution, meaning of saturated solution, solubility of a solute, unsaturated solution. So here the first one is unsaturated solution, unsaturated, and this is a saturated solution. Then what do you mean by concentration of a solution? What the three different formulas, by heart it, write it and learn to calculate the concentration of a solution. First one is mass by mass, percentage of a solution. Second one is mass by volume. Look at the numerator and the denominator. So mass of the solute when it is divided by the volume of the solution, and when it is multiplied by 100 you will get mass by volume percentage of a solution. Last one for calculating is volume by volume percentage of a solution. So volume of a solute divided by the volume of a solution into 100. Then we had done two problems. Please work it out, try out many times, write it down and find out. You can try this by changing the mass of the copper sulfate. Make it as 100 grams and see what will be the percentage of copper sulfate, how much concentrated it is. Then make it into 150 or 10 grams of copper sulfate. You can only change the value and then calculate it. This is for calculating volume by volume percentage of the solution. Then we had learned what is suspension. These are the examples of suspension. Okay, where the particles and all, it is again an heterogeneous mixture. Then we had learned what is Tyndall effect and how the Tyndall effect, you can see the particles and all will settle down in a suspension. Okay, and then how it can be separated by filtration. Then we had learned what is colloid. Colloidal solution is in between solution and suspension, particle size. And colloids normally we use in our daily life. Gels are there, spray which we use it, sponge, foam and all packing material. Like mobile and all, when you buy, you know that you'll get a packing material, that is foam. Okay, and this is emulsion, medicines and all. So these are the milk, cream or paints which you are using it. All these are nothing but examples of emulsion, that is colloid emulsions. And then I told you about the particle size. The least particle size is solution, then comes the colloid, and then the largest particle size is suspension. Because of that it can be separated by filtration. Then this is centrifugation, a method of separating the dispersed particle phase in a colloidal solution. Then these are the examples which we have learned. So learn all this properly. Hope you have understood this chapter very well. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So you have to write down the notes neatly as I've given to you in your chemistry notebook by looking at the slide. Learn all the definitions well, learn all the examples and then prepare for a quiz on this topic during the Zoom meeting. Thank you children. Take care.